Good morning, you're watching Doordarshan News and this is the news for Hearing Impaired. I am Nancy Kohli and with me is Neetu. Let's begin with the headlines. At the DGMO level talks, India tells Pakistan its forces mutilating bodies of Indian soldiers is a dastardly and inhuman act and merits an unequivocal response. The nation salutes its two martyrs with moist eyes. Prime Minister to attend the annual gate opening ceremony at the holy shrine of Kedarnath, also to inaugurate Ayurveda and Yoga Research Centre in Haridwar. Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull calls Prime Minister Modi over the telephone. The Prime Minister raises India's concern over Australia's recent changes in the visa rules affecting the Indian technical manpower. Crisis in the Aam Aadmi Party deepens as senior leader Kumar Vishwas directs his ire against party chief Arvind Kejriwal, demands action against Amanatullah Khan. Kejriwal tries to firefight, holds midnight meeting with Kumar Vishwas. News tightens over fugitive businessman Vijay Mallya. A combined team of the CBI and the Enforcement Directorate arrive in London to strengthen the case against him at the British Extradition Court. And in sports news, India loses its first match in the Aslan Shah tournament, goes down to Australia 3-1, set to play Japan today. And now the news in detail. The Indian DGMO did some plain speak with his Pakistani counterpart a day after Pakistan's unprovoked aggression of killing and mutilating the bodies of two Indian soldiers at the Krishna Ghati sector in Poonch in Jammu and Kashmir. India's DGMO Lieutenant General A.K. Bhatt spoke with his Pakistani counterpart, Major General Shahir Shamshad Mirza, on hotline and categorically conveyed to him that such dastardly and inhuman act is beyond any norms of civility and merits unequivocal condemnation and response. And full fire support was provided by Pakistan Army posts located in the vicinity of the incident site, while conveying concerns about the presence of the Border Action Team training camps in the close vicinity of the line of control in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Meanwhile, in Punjab, the mortal remains of Naib Subedar Paramjeet Singh was consigned to flames at his native village in Tarn district with full state honours. A large number of people from his village and surrounding areas, besides his family and friends, paid their last respects to him. The martyr's family said the army should spare no effort in teaching Pakistan a tough lesson. The last rites of BSF Head Constable Prem Sagar will be held today at his village in Uttar Pradesh's Deoria district. The mortal remains of the martyr had reached his native place yesterday. Earlier, the Army and the Border Security Force held a ceremony in Poonch to bid farewell to Naib Subedar Paramjeet Singh and Head Constable Prem Sagar, with the top military and the BSF officers in attendance. When the mortal remains of the Jawans reached the Delhi airport, they were received by Minister of State for Home Affairs Kiran Rijiju, who paid his tribute for their supreme sacrifice. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will today offer prayers at Kedarnath temple on the very first day of the Yatra season. The sacred portals of the temple will be thrown open to devotees after being closed for winters. Security has been tightened in the state ahead of Prime Minister's visit. Chief Minister Trivendra Singh Rawat is also present at the temple to review the administrative preparedness. Meanwhile, the Doli Yatra that started from Ukhimat on Sunday has reached Kedarnath. During the winters, the idols from Kedarnath temple and Madhyameshwar are brought to Ukhimat and is worshipped for 6 months. The Prime Minister will also visit Patanjali Yogpeeth in Haridwar to inaugurate a research centre. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has conveyed to his Australian counterpart Malcolm Turnbull India's concerns about the impact of the recent decision to abolish a popular work visa used by a majority of Indians. The Prime Minister conveyed the concerns during a phone call initiated by the Australian Prime Minister. The two Prime Ministers agreed that officials from both the sides will remain in close touch on the issue. The Prime Ministers also discussed the follow-up action taken after Malcolm Turnbull's visit to India last month and the steps required to further strengthen the bilateral relationship. As the rift within the Aam Aadmi Party deepened on Tuesday, with founder member Kumar Vishwas accusing the senior leaders of conspiring against him, the party leaders have started efforts to pacify Kumar Vishwas. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal himself reached Kumar Vishwas's house in Ghaziabad late last night, where the senior Aam Aadmi Party leadership, including Delhi's Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia, Sanjay Singh, Ashutosh, were already present. Arvind Kejriwal later took Kumar Vishwas to his official residence at Civil Lines and held talks with him. Talking to the media, the Aam Aadmi Party convener and the Delhi Chief Minister expressed hope that everything will be fine soon. Earlier on in the day yesterday, Kumar Vishwas had alleged a conspiracy against him and indicated his possible exit from the party. The Aam Aadmi Party leader was particularly upset with Amanatullah Khan, who had alleged on Sunday that the former was plotting a coup against Arvind Kejriwal and that he was an agent. A team of officials from the CBI and the Enforcement Directorate have reached London for discussions on the extradition of liquor baron Vijay Mallya. A four-member team led by CBI Additional Director Rakesh Asthana will apprise the British authorities of the finer points of the loan default cases against Vijay Mallya. Mallya's extradition is now before the British court. The agency's move to send a team to London is aimed at presenting a strong case for the extradition of the business tycoon before the British court. Vijay Mallya was arrested by British authorities last month on India's extradition request in connection with the loan default case. He was released on bail within hours by a London court, which has fixed 17th of this month as the next date of hearing. The Enforcement Directorate has registered a money laundering case against AIADMK leader TTV Dinakaran and others in connection with the Election Commission bribery case. The agency has filed a criminal case after taking cognizance of an FIR by the Delhi police in the matter. The Enforcement Directorate will soon issue summons to the accused. Earlier, Dinakaran and his aide Mallikarjuna were sent to the Tihar jail till 15th of this month by a court after the police said the accused were not needed for custodial interrogation. Dinakaran was arrested last month by Delhi police for allegedly attempting to bribe an election commission official to get the undivided AIADMK Stoolies election symbol for his faction. President Pranab Mukherjee will give away the 64th National Film Awards in New Delhi today. The awards had been announced last month. Akshay Kumar has been chosen for the Best Actor award for Hindi movie Rustam. Surbhi has been named as the Best Actress for her role in Malayalam film. Moving on, US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin have agreed to press for a ceasefire to halt the war in Syria. The two spoke over the telephone for the first time since the US launched air strikes against Syria nearly a month ago, straining relations. White House and Kremlin statements suggested a productive conversation. Other topics discussed included North Korea and the timing of a future face-to-face meeting. Over 45 civilians and Kurdish-led fighters have been killed in an attack by Islamic State militants near Syria's northeastern border with Iraq. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said at least 5 suicide bombers blew themselves up inside and outside the makeshift camp for displaced Syrians and Iraqi refugees in Hasakeh province. The Islamic State militants also clashed with the members of the Syrian Democratic Forces stationed at a nearby checkpoint. The violence came as another surprise Islamic State attack on Tuesday kills 10 soldiers in Iraq to the south along the border. And news now from back home. The Supreme Court appointed Committee of Administrators clarified to the BCCI that its officials were not mandated to take any decision on India's participation in the ICC Champions Trophy. The Committee of Administrators made this statement in the backdrop of rumors that the BCCI office bearers were contemplating boycotting the tournament after being outvoted on the ICC's revenue and administration's models, as the Indian board's revenue quantum was reduced by almost half. The Committee of Administrators was forced to issue a diktat after it was learned that around 10 loyalists of former BCCI President N. Srinivasan engaged in a teleconference where the options of pulling out and taking legal action against the ICC were discussed. The BCCI's SGM is scheduled to be held on the 7th of May. And in some more sports news, the Indian men's hockey team, ranked number 6 in the world, have suffered their first loss at the 2017 Sultan Azlan Shah Hockey Tournament, losing 1-3 to world champions Australia in Malaysia. Losing the experienced goalkeeper Pia Srijesh in the 13th minute proved to be a major setback for India, as his replacement Akash Chikte allowed the Kookaburras to go up 2-1 shortly into the second half when a goal went through his legs. This despite India being put ahead in the second quarter thanks to Harmanpreet Singh's third goal of the tournament. A day after the Indian cricket team moved to number 3 in the One-Day Internationals rankings, Virat Kohli and company dropped 2 places to slip to 4th position in the ICC T20 International Team rankings following the annual update on the 1st of May. Having dropped 6 points, India are now on 118 points. That's 3 behind second placed England and third placed Pakistan, both of whom are on 121 points each. New Zealand sit atop the table with 125 points. South Africa lost 2 places to be at 5th spot after conceding 6 points, but are a point ahead of Australia. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the news. Thanks for being with us.